It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Sorry for the delay, little rain delay here in Chicago.
It has been raining a lot.
Thanks for hanging with us. We got a lot to get to. You want to do the disclaimer real quick? You ready for that?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay. How you doing?
Hanging in there. How about you?
Good. I'm really happy. We're messing around before the show, frantically trying to arrange things for the entertainment of our listeners. And I had a set of darts that I got via trade. You ever trade a set of darts?
I have not.
I have traded them actually numerous times. I've gifted them. I've swapped them.
Mm-hmm.
I actually remember the darts I won my first state championship with. I got in a swap. They were an old set of Bob Andersons, and I kind of traded a set of darts I didn't like and didn't want, and somehow talked somebody into them, and then ended up winning the thing with them. And they're like, "Do you want to trade back?" I'm like, "No."
Nice.
But there's a guy in Chicago that I have traded with a couple of times, and he's one of these guys. He went online to some website in Germany to get a set of Martin Adams darts. Mm-hmm. And I like Martin Adams, not so much now, but like 6-7 years ago, he was really playing well, and I liked his approach. And I watched some YouTube of him, like playing at Lakeside and stuff like that, and some other BDO tournaments, maybe it was a Winmore Masters or something. And I was like, well, he throws such a nice, lovely dart. And this guy, like 2 weeks later, is like, hey, check it out. I got Wolfie's darts. And I'm like, nice. Jim Bone, who all the darters know, was the guy with the lathe at a lot of tournaments. He'd be at the Bull Shooter. He'd be at steel tournaments and stuff. He was with Atlanta Darts, so he's primarily based in the South. I got to know him after I'd been around for a few years. There was, Jeff Pickup made me a set of darts, and I kind of wanted to go a different way. And I talked to Jim Bone for a while, and I was like, well, I kind of want to do this, and I want to do that, but most of all, I want a square front. And he's like, you want a square front? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at all these, Brits, and they all throw these strong darts with a square front, and everything goes in. And he's like, well, here's the thing. You're going to rip up flights.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
He's like, well, what kind of grip do you want on it? And I'm like, well, I'm not sure. There's 2 grips I'm considering. And he's like, well, I'll tell you what. We can
What
make
exactly is the square front?
Square front on a dart, most darts have like a bullet front.
Yeah.
A square front, it's just straight.
Okay.
There's a straight edge there.
Right at the end of the tip.
Yeah. And it's almost, they don't like kind of shave it down, so it's exactly like the back where you screw in the shaft. Mm-hmm. It's just flat.
Yeah.
And you just stick a point in there.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Well, I had a couple of sets made, and I was in the middle of monkeying around with the knurl, trying to see what knurl I wanted, when I borrowed them to this guy, and he immediately picked them up, and I think he threw like a ton 80, and then he threw a ton 40. He's like, these darts are great. I'm like, well, and at the time, I had kind of given up on them, and I was using James Wade's or something like that. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'll tell you what, I'll swap you for those for Wolfie's darts, because he wasn't using them anymore. He wasn't getting results with them. He's like, okay. So about I want to say like 6 months later, he's like, hey, you still got those Wolfie darts? Because he's one of these players that likes to switch darts for, I think it's mostly psychological. I think no matter what dart you have in your hand, you're going to throw what you're going to hit. I mean, I think it's preordained. Doesn't really matter what dart's in your hand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure. Let me go find them. And I rummaged around, and I've got, 20 sets of darts. I got some with shafts on, some without shafts, barrels. There's 2 of this one. Hey, what happened to those widows and stuff? So I'm running around. I got them here. I got them in there. Blah, blah, blah. So, can't find them. And I call him up, and we've since had a falling out, so he probably thought I was lying. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know where they are. And I surely didn't.
Right.
Well, as it turns out, I'm looking for the camera mount in the desk drawer.
Yeah.
Right? And I had forgotten that I had brought this like little dart case that somebody had made for me. It's got my initials on it.
Mm-hmm.
I never use it because it doesn't really work for me anymore. And then I look and I'm like, hey, check it out. And here are the Martin Adams. So I was like, I wondered what happened to those, because I've never really lost a set of darts myself. So I was kind of happy about that.
Yeah. That's funny. Somebody in the chat said that the camera needs to move a little to your left. And well,
you want to explain why the camera's a mess?
We have some tripod issues. We no longer.
We didn't have a tripod issue at the beginning of the show last week. Mark tried to expand the tripod, and he pretended it was a wishbone, and he literally yanked one of the legs off the tripod. So last week he stuck it on there, and it was like precariously balanced. We got through the show, and then you're like, "I'll fix it,"
and I'm like,
"You're not going to fix it." There are like little pieces of plastic all over the studio
shattered everywhere.
Shattered everywhere, and you're like, no, I think duct tape will work.
You're like, what'd you do? And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I opened it the same way I open it every week, and it just
obviously that.
So
that
we
didn't
have
happen.
to. So basically, what you see for the cameras, what you get. There's no moving it.
We're literally winging it tonight. I'm sorry we're late. We are doing a baseball show, and we don't want to bore you guys with baseball. But I am geeked up about the Cubs as I've been in quite a while. We have got a young, exciting team with these like 22, 23, 24-year-old studs, and we are really making progress. Mm-hmm. And it's really a joy to watch this team grow and watch it gel and watch it progress. And I am just like hugely having a great time. Jilly's got a season ticket, so I get a great view of this stuff. I spent 11 or 12 hours at the ballpark yesterday watching us sweep the Cardinals for the first time since like 1992. It's unheard of. And what happens tonight, we're starting to show our starting pitcher's out in the first inning with a bad leg. We're down 4-0. I think we're dead. And now I look, and we've caught up.
Yep, they're up 5-4.
And I'm just like, wow, if the bullpen holds on and we could take 3 in a row from the Cardinals, it's really something. So sorry that we're late. We've got a lot to get to. We're probably not going to go a whole hour. We've got the World Matchplay is starting, and it's kind of funny. The CDC Matchplay is coming up, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I play the tournament. Obviously, I can't play in the event because I'm one of those people that didn't show up, so I didn't qualify.
Oh,
can you believe that? I mean, that my dart career is to the point now where I can't remember where I'm supposed to be any given weekend. Oh, gosh. It's really funny, though. I've picked up the darts a little bit and just whipped them in the board, and I'm like, yep, that's exactly how I want to throw. And then I go back to the baseball game. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm really I really have to step up the practice starting this weekend. Actually, starting tomorrow. No, starting tomorrow. So we're going to do, we've got the brackets for the PDC match play. Do you want to take a break or you want to go like right into it?
Yeah, we should probably take a break first.
We'll take a quick break and we'll be back. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark and Steve. We'll be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Hey, back for the second half of Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. I got a text message asking what's with the background. That is our victorious U.S. women's national team.
Yeah, they didn't know?
They won the 2015 World Cup in Vancouver. Maybe it was a joke. You know, maybe it's from my cousin. Likes to punk me a little bit.
Oh, you didn't see who it was from? You just read the text?
Well, look, I mean, we're not a soccer show, but I think that what darters can take away from, well, for one, I'm one of those guys that digs chicks who hit the long ball.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl from half court,
I know, that was pretty impressive.
I mean, that was just, and this poor Japanese goalie is going to have
they
nightmares for the rest of their life.
Oh, yeah.
After they got blitzed, and it's 3-0, she just gets the ball loose, gets, a little left foot toe tap by one person, and just takes a running smack at it. And apparently, they took the side that, was in the shade. So, not only is, you're down 3-0, but you're looking in the sun. It's going over your head. You stumble, you lose your balance, you get your fingertip on it, and it still hits the inside of the post and goes in. And hopefully, the Japanese women aren't into like, what is it called?
I know what you're going for. I can't.
You know what I'm going for, right?
Yeah.
You've seen Ronin. Seppuku.
Yeah.
Seppuku. I hope seppuku is not involved.
Out of all that, though, have you ever seen corner kicks where they just smoke it on the ground instead?
Wasn't that clever?
It was unbelievable.
I'm sure it's happened.
And they did it 2 times in a row. Like after the first time,
yeah, it was like it was kind of like crashing the boards on a free throw.
Yeah,
where you don't block out the shooter.
You didn't expect it to happen. It was
the
amazing.
first one was just shocking.
It was perfect.
And so here's the deal. And this was supposed to go on the other show, but I had to go to a graduation thing, so I skipped the Cub game, and I went to, I had a niece and a nephew who had a party because one graduated from college and the other graduated from high school. So I'm like, okay, fine. See the family and everything. It was like 100 people. I'm like, wow, check this out. I got a card from my grandmother, but I'm not saying anything. Anyway, so my brother-in-law and my godson are there. My godson is now taller than me. He's like going into his junior year of high school, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. And so they're like, well, what are you doing after? And I'm like, well, I was planning on going to Lincoln Park to see the girls play. It was a big watch party hosted by U.S. Soccer, whatever our federation is. I don't know what they're called. And they decided, get this, they're like, we're going to go play Goofy Ball. I'm like, Goofy? What is Goofy Ball? Well, Goofy Ball is basically you take a wiffle bat, and one of those, like, they're almost like toy balls. They're like little miniature beach balls, about maybe 8 inches. Mm-hmm. Like, they're smaller than a 12-inch, right? And they got cardboard laid out as bases, and then if it hits the tree, it's foul, but you can catch it. And then if it's above the windowsill, it's a home run, and right field is closed, and all this stuff. And there's like 3 of us on each side. And I ended up, my shoulder is still sore. I pitched a 9-inning complete game.
Nice.
With, I think, about 7 strikeouts, no walks. And my ERA, I'm proud to say, my ERA in Goofy Ball is 37, and I'm undefeated.
Nice.
We beat them like 41-37.
All right.
And I went 9 innings, and I hit a grand slam. I hit some home runs. It was so much fun. I could barely walk. And I'm in there. Okay, I'll end this. The funny thing is, like, these guys have been playing this, like, little self-invented sport game. They've been playing it since they were teenagers, and now they're almost middle-aged. They played in the same park they've always played at.
Really?
And they have it's kind of like basketball. I mean, they're just having fun. And I guess, when they were teenagers, they had a place that they could hide their beer and keep it cold and, whatever. And they would party and they would just play this for hours. And I swear we played 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking about that because I was missing the soccer.
Right.
So I was like, obviously, spend some family time. That's fine. But the juxtaposition of the two things as I was driving home, and I was like, this is the thing that darts hasn't done. Right? We've done the thing with the tradition. Like these guys have kept this game going all by themselves, but it hasn't grown any. It's just the same guys.
Right?
It's like 6, 7, 8 guys. They play every 2 or 3 months. It's a fun thing to do. But what the women's soccer team did, and we must have mentioned this on some other show, they won the World Cup in like 91, and no one noticed. The first World Cup ever held, and nobody really came to watch and all this stuff. But these girls, and especially like Mia Hamm and the ones that won it, they went around promoting it, and they sold out stadiums, and they made an effort to engage fans and to sign autographs and to do appearances and to put in the work and to put in the sacrifices to make this possible. And now I guess there's professional women's soccer somewhere.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really? Is there? Because, there might have been at one point. I mean, it's kind of weird if there's no pro league for people to go to. That's where the sport goes. And to the credit of the guys that are trying to do the CDC, if you're a serious amateur darter and you want to, play at the next level, there's now a next level to play at, as opposed to, there's a tournament here I go to every year and a tournament there I go to every year, and then, that's it. I'm done. So, the career progression, is kind of like the women have managed to keep that going, even though the World Cup is only 4 years. But look, it was the most watched soccer game on American television, 26.7 million people.
Oh, yeah, I saw it was most watched. I didn't see the amount, the total. But.
And these girls, you look at the interview, and they're such jocks. And, girl jocks are kind of charming. Mm-hmm. And then, they kind of clean it up for the cameras and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun. Anyway, so congrats to them. And that's what we should do. We should be like them. Darts should be like women's soccer. There's plenty of channels and people dying to watch stuff. I mean, my gosh, how many people watch the crud that's on there now?
I know.
You're telling me you can't get a dart match on there that's compelling? I seriously doubt that.
Speaking of darts.
Yeah, speaking of darts.
We started our show a little late, and I wasn't perusing the chat room, but somebody brought up a question about sharpening their darts.
Oh, right.
I was curious if you had a take on that.
Yeah, I do. And thanks in the chat room for hanging. And, yeah, in deference to your hanging, we will address this immediately. And we'll get to the match play after this. How to sharpen your darts. I don't sharpen mine. I don't want to have a sticky point like a needle. You don't need much to get the point through the sisal, and you definitely don't want to sharpen your dart. What you want to do is rough up the edges so that it sticks in the board. It's not the tip of the point that sticks it in the board. It's the grip on the sides of the point that keeps the point in the board. So I keep in my dart case, which is not here now, a piece of emery cloth that you can get anywhere. It's used for sandpapering glass. And what you do, where's my finger? What you do is you take your dart like this. It's going to look kind of silly. You take the emery cloth like this, and you just go up and down and then spin the dart as you're going up and down so that you put kind of a burr on the edges, on the outside edges of the entire point.
Can you just use sandpaper, or is it too rough?
I've never tried it with sandpaper, but I'm sure you could. I've actually done it, like, there was one time I forgot, or I took a different dart case, so I didn't have it, and darts were flying out of the board, so I literally went outside, and Chicago's got a lot of brick buildings, so I went and used the mortar of the brick. So now on the brick mortar, I kind of went sideways and kind of like did it here and then spun the dart and did it here and roughed up the edges, and you'll immediately feel it when you go and pull your darts. There's resistance,
right?
When you pull your darts out of the board, and if you've done it thoroughly, I mean, you spend like 45 seconds on each point, And the more often you play, the more that the sides of the point are going to get smoothed out, and then you rough them up again. Mm-hmm. So if I'm practicing constantly, like 3 hours a day or something, I'll do it once a week, something like that.
Oh, that much?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Well, because you want your darts to be in the board. And, depending on the quality of board you play, I've seen darts. We were in Philly one time. The boards all dried out, and I was just freaking out. Everything was falling out. Mm-hmm. Just because they were hard as a rock. And I'm like, oh, okay, better follow through and throw them a little harder, right? So it kind of depends on the board you're playing, but that's my advice as far as sharpening your darts go. As far as cleaning your barrels, which is an email we got last week, jewelry cleaner works really well.
Okay.
I've heard all sorts of people.
That would make sense.
Because you got to understand you're cleaning metal. Like somebody told me they use Windex. I don't think Windex works very well. Mm-hmm. I use ring knurls where there's just like a series of rings along the thing, and sometimes I'll actually take my thumbnail and clear out some of the crud. You get stuff on your fingertips, and you get acid or sweat or whatever on your fingertips, and it gets in the crevices there, and you want to make sure those are cleaned out. And usually the rings are too thin to actually use the point of your dart, but I just take my fingernail and I kind of clean them out there, and it's
well, you could
gross,
just soak them in hot water.
Yeah, you could. I mean, how else do you clean metal?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to use anything
you just
too
soak
abrasive.
them in hot water for a little bit, and then you should be able to wipe it off.
Yeah, as far as getting the things. I haven't tried that. The jewelry cleaner works really good, and you can get it, pretty much anywhere, and it's relatively inexpensive. Right. I wouldn't be trying to use something like Tarnax or
no,
something like that.
You could probably use acetone. It's basically nail polish remover.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that
dissipates in a heartbeat.
It smells so bad.
It goes away.
But you still inhale it. I mean, it's terrible.
So it's not going to hurt you.
There are like maybe 5 smells that really I find offensive. Like boiling cauliflower.
Yeah.
Just smells horrible. I hate the smell of popcorn, but the one thing that I cannot stand is nail polish remover. Okay. That stuff just reeks. It gets in your sinuses. It makes my eyes burn. It's just terrible. So, yeah, don't use that.
Well, use it if it doesn't bother you.
Or use it with a gas mask.
Yeah.
Or
if it
something.
bothers you, don't use it.
Women don't seem to be bothered by this.
If you're a normal human being and it doesn't bother you, use acetone. It's a good cleaner.
Acetone. Okay.
ACE.
Yeah, I know.
TONE. I
know how to spell it. I had chemistry class. Okay, we got to get to the match play. You want to take a quick break?
Sure, why not?
All right, this will be a short one. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk PDC match play. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mystery Mark, Steve Panaciamo. We'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the whatever period we're in.
The end of the show.
I'm really tired. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. We'll run through the first round matches of the match play. It's always one of my favorite PDC events. And real quickly, the reason why is when I first started to play darts, there was a guy that I guess I was on one or two teams with him. I was so gung-ho to play darts. I was on like all these teams. I was playing every night. And he ended up, his apartment building ended up being like a Nielsen thing. And it just so happened that somebody was at Fox Sports. Somebody was showing PDC reruns of the match play. So he had everyone in his building. He'd knock on their doors and say, hey, you got to put this on your TV, and stuff like that. And it ended up after that happened, they started showing darts on TV on Comcast for a while. And this is like, I want to say like 8 or 9 years ago. So anyway, I didn't have whatever channel. I was at like a different cable system, so I didn't have his channels. So he DVR'd a match from the match play with John Part and Phil Taylor. And I'm like, well, Phil Taylor wins, right? He's like, no, John Part wins. I'm like, what? He's like, no. So I must have watched this. I still have it. I must have watched this VCR tape 100 times. And John Part takes 5 legs in a row off Taylor, where Part throws like 15 darters on his throw and is right on Taylor's butt. And then Taylor misses a double, and John takes it out. And I was just like, wow, somebody can beat Phil Taylor? Who's this John Part dude?
Yeah,
it was like,
right.
It was just so cool. And, really high level of play. And for that time, for 8 or 9, whatever it was, 8 or 9 years ago, it was like the equivalent of both guys averaging like 110 now. Mm-hmm. It was really great. And that format, that long format, you have to win by 2. It's alternate start, race to 21 or, whatever it is, because it gets longer and longer, the match length, the finals, the
19,
longest match.
25, 31, 33, 35.
Yeah, best of 35. So you had to win 17 legs. Mm-hmm. And it was just like the coolest thing. And now, you get ahead, and now it's like, can you break? It's just, I just thought it was awesome. So I always look forward to the match play, and there's been surprises. Like a couple of years ago, I thought, was it Van Gerwen got way ahead, and I turned it off. Because I was in the middle of a tournament, and we had it on like in the lobby computer or something. Oh, this is over, and turns out Mervyn King won, or vice versa. King was way ahead, and Van Gerwen won, whatever. So it's always compelling, and it's the one tournament that Taylor's probably owned the most. Mm-hmm. Even though the World Championship has been kind of slipping away from him now, he seems to do really well at the match play. And this is, I believe, is this in Blackpool?
I thought I had that up, but let's see.
Blackpool is where they used to have the World Championship before they moved it to the Alley Pally.
Correct.
Yeah, so Blackpool's always been kind to Taylor. That's where he won the majority of his World Championships. All right, let's run it down. Include the seeds, because it's only the top 32. So there's 16.
It doesn't have the seeds, unless it's in order.
Okay.
It just says odds.
Oh, that's just the odds.
That's the odds.
Okay.
Van Gerwen's 1-12 against Benito Van de Pas.
7-1.
Yeah.
That would be an upset of epic.
Just for 1-12.
Epic proportions.
Right.
Okay. What's the next one?
Justin Pipe against Jamie Lewis. Basically even money. Well, Pipe's 1-2.
1-2 ain't even money.
No.
Okay. Heavy favorite. Jamie Lewis. I haven't seen Pipe throw in a while. I wonder if he gets beat. I didn't have time to check. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of that match. I wouldn't go near it.
Then you got Simon Whitlock against Yeli Clausen.
Probably a really fun match to watch. Is Whitlock favored? 4-5?
Barely. 4-5 even money on Yeli.
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to Yeli Clausen, you don't really know what you're going to get. I know that he just seems to be a little too wild for me. If he's really on, then, he might win. But no, I think in that case, Whitlock's probably a way more solid pick.
All right. You got Ian White against Stephen Bunting. Bunting is slight favorite.
A slight favorite. Yeah, I would think that this is kind of a toss-up match. Ian White was playing so well, but he's kind of fallen by the wayside lately. Yeah, Bunting, youth. I don't know. Bunting might be a good look there.
Peter Wright against Kim Hybricks.
Yeah, that's going to be a match I'm looking forward to seeing. I constantly underestimate Kim Hybricks, and in my heart, I always want Peter Wright to win.
Okay.
So probably Hybricks should be favored there. Looks like he's not.
No.
Looks like Wright's favored.
Slight underdog.
Yeah, as to take a dog like Kim Hybricks, or an underdog like Kim Hybricks, that might be a good bet.
Mervyn King against Andrew Gilding.
Yeah, interesting. I haven't seen Mervyn throw at all, so I couldn't go near that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gilding beat him, though. Gilding had some really good showing last year, so he was like kind of an up-and-comer. Now he's in the top 32. I don't know. I mean, if anybody's, I would have to say Gilding's way more motivated than Mervyn King.
Okay.
So we'll have to see. Adrian
Lewis, big favorite over Joe Mernon.
Yeah. Good for Joe Mernon making the field, and I think he can go home with his, head held high that he made the field. I think he's going to win.
Okay. The odds say he's not going to win as well. So Michael Smith, heavy favorite against Gerwin Price.
Yeah, I'm looking for Michael Smith to try to get in up to the next echelon. It looks to me like he has the game. Mm-hmm. I don't know that he's got the composure. I don't know if he's like kind of a John Lester kind of mental when things go wrong kind of guy. We'll sort of see. But yeah, I wouldn't. Michael Smith there for sure.
Phil Taylor, heaviest favorite on the board against John Henderson.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny if you've got some extra money. Hendo has done well, and Hendo seems to get the crowd support. He seems to get sympathy. He's a huge guy. He's obviously not like a full-time player, like Taylor is. But I think for a lot of people that play darts for fun but take it seriously, I can see him rooting for a guy like Hendo. I could see the crowd getting behind Hendo if he starts to play well. And Phil's going to play his game.
Upset.
Yeah. I don't see Phil showing up and throwing an 88. I think this is a format designed for Phil Taylor. It's going to be a matter of whether Henderson can score well enough to hold his throw, and then nick the odd leg off of Taylor. Mm-hmm. That's what it's going to take to win.
Van Barneveld against Andy Hamilton.
Andy Hamilton. There's a match that I will, when that match starts, I'm going to go make coffee or go on the patio and look for ladybug larvae. I cannot stand watching Andy Hamilton throw. He's a great player. I'm sure he's a great guy. I just can't stand watching him.
All right. So you will skip that match.
I will skip that match.
Dave Chisnell against Jamie Caven.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested. Jamie Caven was like kind of making a move, and then kind of sort of hit the wall. Mm-hmm. As far as like, lifting his game and, getting up to the point where, he fears no man. And I'll be interested to see where his game is at this weekend. So, Chizzy's going to be tough.
Pretty big favorite.
Yeah, Chizzy's going to be tough. Chizzy's like kind of like, geez, nobody can score like Chizzy, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. I'm still not sold on, I just have in my head, the way he lost to Anderson. It's like if you stay with him and you pressure him on a double, will he hit it? Mm-hmm. I'm not convinced.
Robert Thornton against Keegan Brown.
Yeah, here's another one where if you want to go with the youth movement, Keegan Brown 11-10. Mm-hmm. Thornton's going to be favored. Thornton's a great player. Thornton hasn't done anything this year. And here's I'll tell you, I bet you Rod Harrington's going to root for Keegan Brown too. It's the new blood. Is the new blood, gonna rise like the cream to the top?
Right.
Or are these guys just not ready yet? This will be a good test.
Then you got James Wade against Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, I like Kyle Anderson. I don't think he's got a chance.
Okay.
I just think it's really hard. I was talking to John Part, and John Part was talking about all the traveling back and forth from Canada to England and stuff. I mean, traveling from Australia has got to be, way worse.
Yeah, right.
Can you imagine flying to Australia? I mean, I would literally ask for, what is the stuff that they give you anesthetic in a hospital to put you under for an operation? I would say, can I have 18 hours of that and you just wake me up when I get there? Because I would go nuts being on a plane for that long. I would just,
it's a long time.
You know me. I mean, it's like, you got to be kidding me with this. What movie could you possibly have on that is going to make
Well,
me...
no, they show you 2 movies, and then by the time the second movie's over, you still have half the flight left.
More than half. 2 movies is 4 hours. It's like 18-hour flight.
Right.
You could watch literally the entire... You could watch Roots every episode.
You got Brendan Dolan against Vincent van der Voort.
Yeah. Well, there's a contrast
Basically
in styles.
money.
Yeah, that's got to be a toss-up. I don't know who's playing better right now. I would have to say that if you made me pick one, I would pick Vincent, but that's only because Brendan Dolan's game. I don't like the short arm. I think the short arm in the long run it kind of hurts you. So I'll take Vincent, even though Vincent can get kind of wild.
Gary Anderson, heavy favorite over Steve Beaton.
The Bronze Adonis. How do you get a nickname like that and then live it down? I don't know. Steve Beaton, great player.
All right.
Gary Anderson, phenomenal player.
Yeah.
How do you not get Anderson there? How big a favorite was he?
He's 1-8.
5-1 for Beaton. That's nowhere near enough.
Terry Jenkins and Menser Sulevic.
Yeah, now this is a trap for Terry. Menser Sulevic's been playing well, and Menser Sulevic, as awkward as he looks and as weird as he looks, you get a really good price on him. And, I've seen Terry struggle in the first round, and Terry's not really you can't say that Terry Jenkins has shown you that he's the Terry Jenkins of 3 or 4 years ago. You know what I mean? And as much as I love Terry, I can see if Menser Sulevic, really gets hot, I could see Terry starting to really, wipe his brow and, all of a sudden start, he'll get right on the wire of that 1-1, and all of a sudden it's a 26, and no neural. I don't know. That'd be an interesting little. You like long shots. Like you go to the track, you won't bet the favorite.
From the way you're talking about everybody out of here and their odds, that would be the guy I would probably.
Yeah, if you want to take a flyer on somebody,
that would be the flyer.
That looks like a good flyer.
Yeah.
Okay, so when all is said and done, aside from Van Gerwen, who do you like here?
Well,
the usual suspects.
Yeah,
you want to go all chalk?
Gary Anderson and
sure.
Well, I mean, how can you not take him?
Okay. So Anderson and Van Gerwen, and then
Phil
who?
Taylor isn't necessarily. I mean, he showed that he wasn't hitting doubles, so it's hard not to take him. But on the other hand, he would be like last out. I guess would be the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
If you could come up with somebody, well, we still have to pick a third one. I mean, but
there's a couple of guys that you could look at, and see them kind of maybe exceeding your expectations. I mean. Does
Chizzy have a chance?
Sure.
Of course.
Why not? I mean, if you can make the final of the Premier League, you should be able to win the World Matchplay, right? So, I mean, if you look at the guys all the guys in the Premier League, I mean, what did Wade show you? What did Adrian Lewis show you? They showed you inconsistency from week to week. Who are the guys that were consistent? Well, Barney was. Mm-hmm. Right? Taylor was, even though he didn't make the playoffs. I mean, Taylor did average pretty much as, pedestrian 100.
He had a hard time hitting doubles.
Well,
he got more legs to try and do it now.
Sure. I mean, this is the thing about the match play that I really like is it's pure 501. Win by 2. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like playing one-on-one basketball. Let's play to 11, win by 2. And all of a sudden, it's like 15-15, and you can barely move, right? And you start calling fouls in street basketball. You kidding me, man?
Yeah, I guess I would say, I don't know, Van Gerwen, Anderson.
I would say, I'll say my upset special would have to be Keegan Brown, and I would have to say
for the first round.
Yeah. No, for the tournament.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if Keegan Brown can get by Robert Thornton, he can get on a roll.
Oh, okay.
Aside from, Van Gerwen and Anderson, I'm curious what Bunting will do. I'm curious how far Bunting can get. I think if Bunting can get to top 8, he ought to give himself a huge pat on the back. Yeah, so Van Gerwen and Gary Anderson and Taylor, and then, pick a fourth. I don't care. Who knows?
Right.
The fourth would probably have to be Barney right now, but I could see, the winner of the Hybrix Peter Wright match doing pretty good.
Well, I was just
Ian White
say,
and Bunting.
The Hybrix, in the Premier League played pretty well, above expectations.
Yeah.
So I could see, that would be my dark horse probably. I would say
Kim Hybrix. And then whoever wins the Ian White Bunting match ought to do pretty well. I'm not sold on Whitlock being a top 4 player anymore. So maybe he'll surprise me.
I guess I'd have to say Chizzy.
As a fourth, you probably got a lot of company in that. I mean, if you look at the guys who are favored the most outside of like Van Gerwen and Taylor and Anderson and Chizzy, the only other guy who's really, got a lot of money riding on him is Bully Boy, is Michael Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if this is the weekend for him to really like win a major, that's going to be huge because he's so young, right? What is he, 21, 22? For him to win a major at that age, I just don't think he's got the emotional composure. Maybe he does. We'll see. I mean, Keegan Brown, to me, of the young guys, looks to me to more have the head that you need. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. It's going to be a great tournament, and we'll talk about it next week on Dart Talk. We'll be back at our normal time. We had some issues at the beginning of the show here. That's why we're late, and we do apologize, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, on Stitcher.com, on TuneIn.com, our website, Dart Talk US, our YouTube channel, Dart Talk US, and as always, you can email the show, darttalk@gmail.com, if you've got any questions or any input. We're happy to hear it. I'm sorry to the guys that sent me the codes to do. There's an iPad app that you're supposed to that you can use for practice and stuff like that. I have not had a chance and enough time on the iPad to check that out. I will get to that, so I'm awfully sorry. I know you're waiting. And then also we're going to look at the online dart score thing. I forget what it's called because it's as a member of the they sent me it as a member of the, because I'm a tour card holder of the Championship Dart Circuit. Mm-hmm. They sent me this thing, and I'll play around with it, and we could talk about that, on a later show.
All right.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everybody for listening. We'll Dart Talk to you next week. Safe travels.